Hi, this is Sherry from the Dahlia Ranch. In 2022, I recorded my methods for digging, dividing, and storing dahlia tubers, and I have put it into a video that I hope may help you if you're new to growing dahlias. Step 1 is I cut down all my dahlias, leaving a 12 to 18 inch stem to be used as a handle for digging and washing. Step 2 is to dig out all the tuber clumps. I use a garden fork to carefully lift the clump out of the ground, careful not to pierce or break the tubers. I have found that tapping the top of the stem with a rubber mallet does a great job for shaking off most of the dirt, so the washing process is easier. It took me 27 minutes to dig and stage the 48 dahlias in my step garden. Not bad. Now you get to watch. Clean. Now that you have your dahlia tubers dug up, it's time to wash. I do use a pressure washer set at the lowest pressure setting. I think a garden hose would be sufficient to get your dahlias clean. I prop them up on a fence with milk crates supporting the fencing. It does a really good job of cleaning them. Then I set them out in the sunshine on my blacktop driveway to dry. Getting them dry is really important. Try and let them dry outside for 4 hours, and then I put them in cardboard boxes after they're dry and let them sit inside for at least another day before I start dividing. Hi everyone, I'm back to dividing tubers. Every year I try and pick the best clump of tubers, and this year's winner is Clearview Tammy. It produced beautiful tubers, nice amount, nice firm, nice robust. You can see on the bottom here, the mother tuber. Definitely want to get rid of that because it's totally deteriorated. And that's typically what happens, is the mother tuber dissolves and then the new tubers grow around it. So I call this my perfect clump of 2022. So here we go. Let's divide. So first I take off my label, and as you know, we cut off the stem, and this is a pretty big stem, so I might have issues. I have to get my multi-tool out to show you how that works, but that won't be for now. So now we're trying to look at what would be good places to cut in to the tuber. to get the most out of that. And so I say cut in half, but sometimes I cut it like a pie. Prefer not to cut myself on camera. But you can see the mother tuber. It's disgusting. We'll cut that out of there. I have a bucket over there. And you can see here, this is definitely, looks like there'll be an eye there. So we just cut off as much of the stem as we can cut off. And then trim all the small roots. So at this point, I have 3 tubers. I'm probably going to remove this one. It seems a little bit wobbly, but we'll let it go for now. Then I'm going to try and take another pie shape out. And we'll get rid of most of that mother tuber. Get rid of the stem. And this one looks like, I could potentially divide in 2. So I'm just going to take the chance to cut this in 2. Clean this off with a toothbrush just to get some of the final dirt. And then you can see that tuber, this tuber. Let's finish cutting here. I think I'm going to use a knife for this one because it's sometimes easier to get in the middle. And split that. Again, I guess there's the rotten mother tuber in all of these. And you can see here, I'm going to cut this. Kind of interesting that I've got 4, so I'm going to just divide and see what happens. So you can see I'm getting tubers. I'm trying to salvage crown. I'm not sure how this one, if there's enough crown on this one. I'm going to give it a go. And the same here. I'm hoping that that's an eye and there's crown there. So I'll finish cleaning this one up, dividing it, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about labeling. Okay, next we need to make sure we get them labeled. Hopefully you can see Clearview Tammy. What I use is an indelible ink pencil. I take a wet washcloth and I just dampen the skin just a little bit. And then I write the name on the tuber. And if the mother tuber survives, this indelible ink pencil label will also survive. So I did have one mismarked plant. I thought I knew what it was. When I dug it up, the tuber was still there and it said, yes, this is an Ivanetti. So it does help even in the fall when you're digging them up. You may be able to figure out which dahlia you planted if you do have it mismarked somehow or another. So I try and label all my tubers. So as you can see, my perfect clump of tubers produced 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 nice Clearview Tammies. So for bacteria and fungal, I read a few YouTube articles, listened, and they say to dunk it in cinnamon. And it was the first time I thought, yay, something that isn't toxic. So what I've been doing is just dipping the cut end and shaking it out
and then I'll set it to dry. So I dip them all. If I cut the long end, like this one, I trimmed a little short. You can also dip that end. We'll see how it works. I've never done cinnamon before, so not sure. Good, bad, or indifferent, but the one place that I do get a little bit of mold is at the cut end. And so I'm hoping that maybe that'll help prevent it, help dry it out, help seal the cut. There's my cat. And so we'll do all 10 of these. And then what I do is I set them. I'm a big fan of Costco pallet boxes, really, Yogi. And I set them to dry another day or two. Here's what I've done so far. Some of them don't look as good as this. I lay them in the box. I put the tag with them. And then I'll bag them up and wrap them. And those that I wrap in cellophane, I'll do that later. But giving it another chance to kind of settle in and dry out. So as you can see, now Clearview Tammy is there to dry. So after I divide my tubers, I let them sit and dry for at least another 24 hours. What that does is it allows the cut area to heal up and dry up and doesn't produce moisture and or mold. You can let them dry too long. One of the things Keith suggests is to do your tubers in batches. I dug all 140 of my plants up at one time and wanted to get them all divided. Some of the smaller varieties, do I have a skinny? Some of the skinnier varieties, like this is a Citron du Cap. I let them, they were cut on the first day and I let them dry too long, and I think I probably ruined them by letting them dry a long time. So it's kind of a balance, but if you put them away wet, you're going to get condensation and that's going to promote rot as well. So I wrap them all up. And then I store them in different size bags. I do reuse my bags. One of the things that I don't do, some people label the bag. They write the name of the dahlia variety on the bag. I don't do that. I throw my tag in the bag, and that allows me to reuse my bags from year to year and not have to fuss with finding a bag with the right name. So it seems easiest for me to take all the clean bags at the end of the spring, throw them in a box, and I save them until the next year. And that saves me a lot of time and not having to score them and that type of thing. So I actually wrapped all these AC Bends in saran, and I'm going to load them into 2 different gallon Ziploc bags. This one, throw that in there. Couple in here, so one of the tags goes in there, and then I have a second bag. I'll throw the rest in. It's kind of this fine balance of keeping enough moisture so the tuber survives, but not too much so it doesn't rot. So both of them are sealed up. Forgot the tag in this one. Throw the tag back in, and they're good to go. Okay, just a reminder of I store in scored Ziploc bags. So how you score the Ziploc bag is you use it. This is a Zinsser Paper Tiger. It's a wallpaper scorer. You can see it creates holes. So all I do is I do a zoom, maybe 3 or 4 times. I do each side just to make sure that there's some breathability, and that's it. And so I use gallon bags, or sometimes I only have a few. I use quart bags. And we talked about a lot of the dahlia growers will write the name on the bag. I tend to throw the label into the bag, and that way it follows the tuber around. So that's how I score the bags, and then for some of my larger tubers, I just store them in the bag. So you can see Wildwood Marie. They're all large tubers, and I put them in the bag. So good news, all my dahlias are divided and bagged up, and now I'm ready to put them into storage. So you can see I have about 7 flats of tubers in Ziploc bags. They're all labeled, you can see. And what I do is I have paper boxes from copy machine paper I pulled from work, and I reuse them every year, and I store them in the paper boxes. So you can see, here I am. So I put the Ziploc bags. I don't stuff them super full. You can see I just try and lightly pack them, put them in a bag. Whoops, I lost light here. And then I label them. I'm a person who keeps track of stuff alphabetically, and so this is easy for me to find. As you can see on my list, I've marked how many tubers I've stored for the season, and I will put these down. I have a cold storage side of my basement, so I put these boxes down there for the winter. So I will check them in about 2 weeks to make sure there isn't any condensation, rot, or mold beginning. If there is, I go through them and open up the packages and let them dry out a little bit more. But everything's looking good, and I'm going to get all the boxes put together and, whoops, sorry, that was fast, and move them down to the basement. I am happy to say I am almost to the end. I have all my tubers bagged and boxed up and labeled, and I'm about to move them down to the basement where the cold storage. So you can see my labeling. I have actually 10 boxes, 9 are sitting here. So what I do is I have an old thermostat. I make sure that I put the thermostat or some sort of thermometer down there to make sure the temperature stays consistent. My basement typically stays around, my cold side of my basement stays typically around 50 degrees. I would like it a little cooler, but that's the best that I can do. So keep an eye on it. Make sure that if you keep it in the garage, that it doesn't get too cold. Anything above 50 degrees starts to be questionable about how good of storage you'll have. They do like cold storage. Last thing I will do is stack them up in the basement, and I'll take one last shot to show everyone.